From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Vice Presidents Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump prepare to face off in their first live debate for the 2024 presidential ticket. And a motorcycle crash in Billings leaves one person dead. This happened near North Park last night. We'll have all the latest details updated overnight. And take a look at this image. Wildfire season is in full effect across Montana and neighboring states, including Wyoming and Idaho. Smoke from over 1,000 fires across the West is affecting our air quality this week as well.
We're going to go paddleboarding, but it was kind of gross and hazy, so we decided, I don't know, it was just kind of depressing.
And we've got Miller here. If you're sensitive to poor air quality, you need to know a few things to get ready for today. Good morning and welcome to Montana This Morning on this Tuesday, September 10th. I'm Augusta McDonnell here with Miller Robson. Good morning.
Yeah, it got thick yesterday.
It was very thick smoke yesterday. Here, chatting with people, hearing about headaches and sniffles and allergies. So it's really, people are starting to feel it now.
Yeah, and it's going to be bad today too. Air quality is going to be poor for those who have a sensitivity to smoke. Stay indoors. Even if you're not as sensitive, it's still going to be quite thick at times today, and it will affect you. You can see the haze there looking down King Avenue right now. Let's take a step back in time quickly. Yesterday, our high of 91. Some areas maybe a little cooler than that. The wildfire smoke kept the temperatures down just a bit, but still warmer than average. Our overnight low well above average as well, only getting down to about 65. Yesterday, the heightened fire concerns because of low humidity and the gusty winds. We had a gust near 40 at the airport. Those winds are calming down today, so that's good news. It's been very dry out there for the month and for the year, but some good news, maybe a decent amount of rainfall Wednesday, Thursday into Friday heading our way. We'll take a look at that with the main forecast coming up in just a bit. Right now, 60 at the airport. It's a mild start. Humidity at 46%. Winds out the southwest at about 10 miles an hour from west to east. 40s, 50s, and 60s as we wake up this morning. But there's your big story. The air quality for a good portion of the area, it's poor, and it's going to stay that way today. We'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at that rain and a cool down coming here in just a bit.
All right, Miller, thank you so much. And in campaign news this morning, former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are preparing for that big live debate tonight in Philadelphia. Our Jared Hill has this out of Philadelphia.
Anticipation is building in Philadelphia, where Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump are set to meet in person for the first time on the debate stage. Harris already previewed what she expects during a radio interview.
I think he's going to lie. There's no floor for him in terms of how low he will go, and we should be prepared for that.
The vice president has spent the past few days doing mock debates, practicing on a stage with lights, and sparring with a Trump stand-in, former Hillary Clinton aide Felipe Reyes, who even dressed like the former president.
If I destroy her in the debate, they'll say, Trump suffered a humiliating defeat tonight, no matter what.
Trump has said he doesn't need formal preparation, but he has been doing policy sessions with a small team of advisors, among them former Democratic presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard. Tonight's debate comes at a critical moment for both campaigns as they try and win over undecided voters. Razor-thin margins separate the two in just a handful of battleground states, according to the latest CBS News polls. Here in Pennsylvania, Harris and Trump are essentially in a statistical dead heat.
I'm interested to hear what both individuals have to say. I haven't swayed who I'm going to vote for.
I will not be endorsing Donald Trump this year.
Today, the Harris campaign is playing offense, releasing new ads ahead of the debate. Both candidates will return to barnstorming through key battleground states later this week. Jared Hill, CBS News, Philadelphia.
In local headlines, new this morning, Billings police have now reopened the roads near North Park after a fatal wreck involving a motorcycle shut down the area Monday night. That latest update came in at about 3:30 a.m. this morning. Police say in a Facebook post they responded to a collision between a pickup and a motorcycle at about 8:45 last night. This happened at the 4th Avenue North 20th Street intersection. The motorcycle driver was found dead on scene. Police say a truck heading northbound was fleeing a traffic stop when it crossed 4th Avenue and struck the motorcycle. The rider has not yet been identified. The driver of the pickup tried to run away from the scene but was caught within a few blocks and arrested. In all, the North Park area was shut down for about 6 hours while investigators worked on that scene. We'll have more information as it becomes available throughout the day. And wildfire season, like we've been talking about this morning, is in full effect in Montana. Right now, there's more than 70 active fires across the state, with more than 10 starting in the last 48 hours. Laurel saw a number of small fire starts yesterday, along with Carbon County, where the Smucker fire sparked on the southwest side of Mount Maurice. The U.S. Forest Service quickly hopped on that blaze from the ground and from the air, but the threat of a wildfire bringing back memories to 2021, if you remember, when the Robertson Draw Fire burned 20,000 acres around Mount Maurice. Our David J. has more.
Firefighters plan on staying on scene overnight to make sure it doesn't flare up. Bicyclists came down this trail saying it was off in that direction, and you did see a helicopter with a water drop. Somebody else said the same thing, and a camper out here saw a little bit of smoke, but they all say from their vantage points that it wasn't that big of a fire. Many in Red Lodge did not know there was a fire because of the smoke blowing into the area from big fires in the west.
We were camping up at Parkside when just all of a sudden it got really smoky and smelly, and the sun really took a turn, the color, and it was like, oh, that's different and odd.
Janet Gale says she did not see the fire.
Just really smelled it, and it got, just the color of the sun.
She came up to the airport to look toward Mount Maurice because 3 years after the Robertson Draw Fire, she wanted to see what was there.
Collected all the important papers.
Gale does not get too excited until she hears from fire officials.
You have to just keep a clear head and just do as you're told. If they really want you to evacuate, then you leave.
Certainly it was not like the fire that we had, I guess it was 3 years ago, the Robertson Draw Fire. No, it didn't ever get that big.
Amy Highfield, Red Lodge Fire Rescue Public Information Officer and Volunteer Coordinator, says the U.S. Forest Service is keeping a close watch, not wanting it to become something big.
The pictures that I've seen, it kind of looks like a little bit of a campfire, but with how remote it is up there and how hard it would be to get to, we definitely want to treat it seriously and try and extinguish it as soon as possible.
She says the terrain is treacherous, so helicopters have been transporting the firefighters.
If you've ever hiked up the Maurice Creek Trail or gotten up to the plateau, it takes a little while. It's a lot of work.
3 years ago, the crews and the conditions kept the fire away from Red Lodge.
It still had a long ways to go to get to town.
Ultimately, we're doing this for people and for the resources that we have.
In Red Lodge, David J., MTN News.
David, thank you. Meanwhile, the state's largest fire, the Remington, remains under control this morning. That blaze, which actually began in northern Wyoming, quickly spread, impacting 3 Montana counties. We've been tracking that fire for a couple of weeks now. In all, the flames burned nearly 200,000 acres, causing lots of damage, but it's now considered 88% contained. At the Billings City Council last night, they voted to put Askin Construction in charge of additional improvements to the new West End water treatment plant. That deal, which was approved for $1.8 million, will connect the new plant to the city's current pipe system. This represents a major step toward the plant pumping water around the city. It's still going to be a while until the plant takes full shape, but Water Quality Superintendent Louis Engels says he's already looking forward to the benefits this will provide.
We've had our existing water treatment plant since the 1890s, so we don't have very much time if we have an issue with our system currently. Whereas when this is done and the reservoirs are here, we'll have weeks.
For those hoping this new plant will lead to cheaper water bills, that might happen eventually, but not in the near future. The city says it will be another 20 years until they pay off its debts, allowing residents to see a difference in their water bills. Now let's take a look at the impact from extreme winds in Billings in recent weeks, which caused lots of damage around the area. There were similar sites in Missoula and Miles City this summer as well, but a Billings arborist says there's a critical reason that storms seem to be so destructive lately. Our Haley Monaco dives into the issue.
One Billings man believes to get to the root cause of those branches coming down, you first have to go up to check things out.
We've had storm after storm.
As strong windstorms blew through the Treasure State, Billings was not immune.
The storm on the 6th, this was the first bit of damage that we noticed when we looked outside, was this whole section was laying on the ground.
For Aaron Schmidt, after decades of watching kids and grandkids play on this tree, a major portion of it was gone.
The immediate thought was just devastation over losing this tree. You can't replace a tree. We can replace the shingles, we can replace the siding, the broken windows. We can't replace this tree.
But it's this devastation, and in many cases this summer, severe damage that could be avoided.
Not properly pruning your tree regularly can lead to those things. So having your trees taken care of is beneficial not only for your property value, but also the well-being for the tree.
Four Seasons tree service owner Jonathan Martinez believes a rise in rental properties could be contributing to the lack of tree maintenance.
I think over the last 10 years or so, I think a lot of property rentals have come into existence. You have Airbnbs, so you don't have homeowners living at these properties. So we have situation where trees aren't being maintained or taken care of or even thought about until it's already a problem.
Martinez also believes proper tree knowledge is necessary when it comes to upkeep.
There's a big difference between people out there cutting trees and arborists out there doing work that they're trained to do and trained to see.
Preventable situations.
We had no idea that how much weight it was carrying up top in the weak spots. Had we known that, we could have taken steps ahead of time to prevent this.
With proper maintenance. In Billings, Haley Monaco, MTN News.
Haley, thank you so much. A ramp up in IRS enforcement has resulted in the collection of nearly $1.3 billion in overdue taxes from wealthy Americans since last fall. The IRS was expanded 2 years ago after $80 billion in funding was approved for the agency in the Biden administration's bipartisan Inflation Reduction Act. Agents are taking a closer look at the taxes of corporations and people who earn more than $400,000 a year. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office says the additional tax enforcement could help reduce the national deficit by bringing in more revenue. However, the Trump campaign has criticized the IRS expansion, saying it's another example of reckless spending.